We are going. Hop over and make sure we're rolling here. All right. We're definitely live.
Nice.
I am going to run an ad real fast.
Oh, cool.
So we can get an hour of free, ad-free, pre-roll free junk. My
Nice.
Facebook hasn't been streaming either. So I'm going to check that real quick. Oh, there we go.
Facebook trying to muscle in on the streaming game.
Oh, yeah, for a long time. Yeah, but I've been multicasting to Facebook and YouTube as well.
Nice.
Because I follow a lot of random fucking insiders on Facebook. So I figure, why the hell not? What's it going to do? Get some exposure. All right, 20 seconds left.
Oh, Facebook.
They've had a gaming channel for a long time. Or a video channel. All right, Facebook videos.
I was just vaguely.
It's been more like personal videos, but it's steadily been evolving to where like big companies like Razer and stuff are doing videos on it. Right. Let's get Chrome out of here. Memory hog. All right. Hey guys, welcome. This is campaign stream. I don't know. I'm lost. Hey guys, welcome. This is Campaign Trail. I'm Rich. I'm a DM. I've been a DM for a while.
I'm Tristan. I'm a DM. I've also been a DM for a while, and kind of an indeterminate amount of time. And like those that works both ways for both of us.
Right.
Campaign stream, is that like the brook that runs near the campaign trail?
Exactly. Yeah. It's where we get our drinking water from.
Yeah. We fend off the fucking murder hobos at this fantasy campground that I've just envisioned. Where lots and lots of other ham-fisted metaphors run free.
Sweet, I'm sure they'll pop up.
Mm-hmm. Bet.
All right, so you want to start with your campaign first?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Let's recap.
Yeah, I tuned in
back into that headspace,
like right as Frankie Peanuts was dying, like right at the end of your freaking "I'm dying" speech.
Epic battle. Yeah, it sucked because the previous episode, like, I did what I thought was a lot of good voice work, but that my voice mod thing wasn't on at all. So it just sounded like me doing a silly voice, which, I mean, I have been doing as a DM for many, many years, and I got by fine without it before. But, like, I don't know. I guess I just got used to the power of the voice mod thing, you know, making my dragons sound like dragons and my undead sound like undead, you know.
What do you use for a voice mod?
I've used an app literally called Voice Mod from voicemod.net, and I love their model because it's tragic, but like most tools for streaming, recording, like, you know, media creation, like anything you want to do that's like fun, you know, on a creative or personal level, it costs money. But not only that, it costs money over time. Everyone's moving to the subscription model, and honestly, it's fucking cancerous. Like, it's toxic. Like, stop that. Voice mod's different.
Some things that I don't mind a subscription model for. Music. Right? I don't mind a subscription model for music. Not that I listen to a lot of music, but my family does. Right? And I feel like we would spend more than $10 a month on music if we didn't have this.
Maybe.
So video, right? Netflix. Not that I mean, we should cancel our Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't use Netflix at all, but Disney
Hmm.
Plus, say, because I use Disney Plus. Um, I would pay more in consuming things outside of that ecosphere than the $8 a month that is Disney Plus.
But like, I don't know. It just maybe I'm being melodramatic, but if you strip away like all the things that I or you subscribe to, and like you're just in, I don't know, like an internet dead zone, for
Mhm.
instance, and like you can't download anything, like it kind of highlights how we don't literally. I'm gonna sound like some jaded fucking millennial here. We literally don't own anything, man.
I'm okay with
But it's
that.
true. Like
I
if you
got so
turn off
much
your Apple
stuff.
Music, if you turn off your Apple Music, it is like that scene in fucking SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs is like, show's over, freeloader, and he rewinds the cartoon that someone was watching back out of their eyes, like into the fucking TV.
That's
Like
awesome.
Apple Music in particular is pretty fucking sinister because, like, as part of their like, here's the long list of things you have to agree to, like the EULA,
Hmm.
um, like they can replace your tracks like for ease of listening. So like if you have like Mr. Bombastic by Shaggy and you play it like and you have like an old version you ripped from a CD somewhere, it doesn't sound so good and like so the file might be corrupted. Apple like streams it from your device to your other device, whatever, so you can listen to it. And if it can't, it's like, oh well, this is clearly Mr. Bombastic by Shaggy, so let's just like scrape it and just put in our album version that we have, and you can listen to
Right.
that. And they do it seamlessly without telling you. What they don't know is that that version of Mr. Bombastic by amazing reggae artist Shaggy, I don't know if it's fair to call him a reggae artist, whatever, I don't know, pigeonhole him, but amazing artist Shaggy was actually a live version that you recorded yourself, one of his live concerts, and it has special memories for you, and like it belongs to you. You made it to your MP3, and Apple's like, "Oh, go fuck yourself."
Sorry about
Um,
that. Wait, no, we're not. It sounds better this way.
that I had like a whole this commemorative like album that I like back before Patreon and Kickstarter were even a thing. Like you
Hmm.
could order special versions of albums from artists that you really like. So I have like instrumental versions of albums that are very special to me.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, I have Human the Death Dance by Sage Francis and I have Human the Death Dance instrumentals. So I can like go through and just like put it on for ambient writing music.
Hmm.
And now, thanks to Apple Music, I just have two versions of Human the Death Dance that I
Hmm.
can't get rid of. So thank you, Apple Music. Um, yeah,
And
there was
your
like
original
one.
files aren't up there anywhere?
I have to go grab the CD and
Mm.
redo it. So thank you, Apple Music. Thank you for fucking me over. And there's like one like fucking Kotaku article about it, like one like saying, "Hey, why did you do that?" And Apple saying, "Well, you agreed to it," and like that's the end of it. Like no one else is really talking about this, and people are sort of fine with that. They're fine with trading things that they have concretely for things that are now ephemeral, but are now more convenient.
Yeah. Well,
It,
convenience is important.
but they're
Convenience is super
trading.
important.
It's like they're trading one kind of convenience for another because it
Hmm.
was convenient to own something and have it concretely and have it like be malleable in your hands. That was convenient because it meant that no one could take it away. So you are allowing yourself to be inconvenienced by a giant uncaring company for the sake of convenience from that giant uncaring company. It's like an Ouroboros. Where
Yeah,
does
but
it end?
once you lose that docking cassette, man, it's never coming back. Still haunts
Maybe
me to this
so.
day.
Maybe so.
I like the convenience.
Yeah.
I'm also on the other side of the fence. Google is. I don't know that Google does that. I don't know that they don't do that though.
Hmm.
But I know that I can download stuff on Google. I can say I want to listen to this stuff offline, so put it on my device,
Yeah.
and I have no limits for that. I can do that with YouTube videos.
If you subscribe.
I am subscribed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I also
Even
keep
some
all my
things.
shit in the cloud.
I don't know. Like this, but it still feels to me like they buy your cow off of you and then they sell you back the liver and the flanks or whatever. Like they're just
Yeah,
they
because
take
that way I don't have to kill the cow now. I don't have to get my hands all bloody,
but
and I
it's
just
still
get my
your
meat.
like these are like features that don't cost them anything to implement, and they're just selling you back like convenience that just should be normal.
Yeah.
Like watching videos with the screen off, like just putting a video in your YouTube video in your pocket, listening
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
That is behind a paywall
Yes, it
because
is.
fuck you. That's why.
Yeah.
Because convenience and like ad-free, like a life unfettered by intrusion from these malicious fucking entities that are concerned only with infinite growth is for people who pay for it. You either pay to live behind the wall or you die. Fuck you. I don't know. You were torn apart by ravenous, ham-fisted metaphors roaming free about this landscape. All right. I've spent too long on this. I'm sorry for ranting.
No worries, man. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons and ranting.
Yeah. All right. So to recap, the party was going after a villain named Frankie Peanuts, an elephant-headed man, an elephant man who was a banker and a mobster in their fair city of Ravnica, their world of Ravnica. And he was a former quest giver for the party, a former ally, a former contact. So that made him a very deadly enemy because he knows the party very well. He knows their strengths and weaknesses, and he constructed a tower of death traps. Like it was his sanctum originally, full of like riches and, just luxury, comfort. But he retrofitted it into like a tower of death traps and like scrambled all of his allies to the top level of the tower to hide, as the museum of luxury and comfort below was turned into a series of death traps. So the party ascends and faces many trials and tribulations, including a level that was literally just like me baiting one player into attacking another, like Winter Soldier style. Like, oh, here's a video of this character killing your character's parents 20 years ago. Like, how do you feel about that? And that was a great scene. They didn't kill each other, but it had exactly the emotional impact I was hoping for. So that was great. And then I had the cleric get Winter Soldiered in a different way, but with like an activation kill phrase, because they're like a mutant, because they absorb some mutant DNA and they've been tooling around with like superpowers. And I'm like, this is a curse. It should feel like a curse. So here's the curse part of that curse that I cursed you with. So I made them fight their party. It went down pretty quick, but then they hashed it out, like, should they turn her back to normal or allow her to continue being a mutant with the risk of being corrupted again? And they ended up, the player was like, hey, I really like these superpowers. Please don't take them away from me. Like, I wouldn't, like Bloodhunter, I wouldn't try to take away your magic sword if it was cursed. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. So out of character, they're like, yeah, man, we wouldn't do that to you. And in character, they're like, we'll resurrect you as you were because we need your help fighting the bad guy. So they get to the final level, or like the penultimate level, I should say. And in that penultimate level, there is a just kind of like living quarters, like a gilded cage. There's like all this really nice stuff, like beautiful, like plush carpets and golden like toiletries and furniture, and just like really high-end luxury like furniture items, but all the rooms are made of glass, so there's no privacy. And it's clear this is where Frankie Peanuts was keeping all of the like Orzhov, like the defectors in his guild after new leadership kind of forced him out. Like there's a socialist who took over his guild, and they want to do good things for the people. And he's like, do good things for the people? That's bad for business. So he took a lot of money and a lot of allies with him, and he kept all of his allies here. And I guess as they arrive, they see this machine, this, I don't know if you've read, it might've been in Tome of Foes, this monster called the Cadaver Collector.
Yeah.
That's fun to say. I love that monster. It's just, it's terrifying because it's like a Terminator style enemy that just looks like it could fuck up your party just by looking at it. Like it literally wears like the dead bodies of things that is slain as grisly trophies, and like it binds their specters to it, and it follows them around. Like it's a big metal robot with like a skull like looking face and big spikes coming out of its back, sort of hunched like a turtle. Mm-hmm. But it walks on two legs, and it's clearly very strong. And it just has Vlad the Impaler style, all these corpses stuck on the spikes on its back as it walks around collecting cadavers. So right away you're like, we shouldn't fuck with this thing. They'd actually encountered it before in a previous arc where they busted somebody out of prison. This machine monster belonged to the warden of Udzek prison. And basically that arc was spent avoiding the thing, learning its command phrase, like waiting for it to be deactivated during the day, and like surprising the warden before he could call on it to defend him. So they succeeded in that, and they left. And they're like, oh, we should, now that it's deactivated, we should smash it. And like, if you attack this thing, I'm rolling initiative. So they're like, oh, fuck, okay, I guess we'll leave it behind, deactivated. And because Frankie is very rich and very connected, the theme of this, like last bit of this arc has been he's just like pulling out all the stops and buying and like asking for favors from everyone in Ravnica who will still talk to him. So he, of course, he brings the monster from the prison here, and it's, as they come in stealthily, they see that it is murdering all of Frankie's former allies in the guild, the ones who stuck with him after Kaya the socialist took over. So it's clear he no longer needs their help, financial or otherwise. So there's clearly something else at work. And they have to sneak like Metal Gear style through this very small room, like 40 foot across, made of glass, hiding behind furniture, to get past the monster without fighting it. It's conceivable that they could defeat it because they're all quite high level. They're like 13. They're all level 13, with the exception of one character who was just guest starring, who was 14. So it's conceivable they could defeat it, but it's likely it would take a chunk out of the resources. And they don't want to lose any more than they've had because they're about to go in and fight the final boss. So they sneak across, and there's a great moment where Louis, the sorcerer, considers like sacrificing the wizard who killed his parents, like leaving him to fight the robot alone so he can get away. But he helps save him,
as heroes do.
As they do, and they make it across with the monster just barely like reaching the elevator before it closes and spirits them away to safety. It's kind of a running theme for that dungeon, I've noticed. Like there's like been 3 separate times where a monster has run at them right as the elevator door is closing. I don't know. That's awesome. It's just strong imagery, and I like shit like that.
For sure. Hey, continue, but I'm going to be right back.
Okay. I'm going to keep talking. This is great. I talk to myself all the time. All right. So I'm going to close my eyes so I can imagine I'm still talking to someone. Wow. Podcasting's hard, huh? I can't imagine doing it without a host. So the Cadaver Collector is hot on their heels. They run into the elevator, and it closes. Rather than going up, it goes along. And as it goes along, they're kind of in this like hangar, airplane hangar type space, a big dome like area as the platform moves them along, and they can see hanging above them like big chests and vaults full of treasure and all kinds of different artifacts that Frankie has spirited away, like the collective wealth of the Orzhov guild that he has made off with. And Frankie himself chimes in, speaking to them, to the party, and I crib a line from BioShock where the villain is saying to the hero, like that they've known them for a long time, and that now it's sad that things have changed. So what Frankie said was to Alpha, the Orzhov cleric, who's part of his guild nominally, saying, I remember when I first met you, was bringing your kid to work day. Your parents brought you in a little skirt. You were no more than 2. And I remember thinking, that's going to be a good employee, which is high praise coming from a person like me. And that's why this hurts. Betrayal, kid. Life ain't strictly business. And he had like some other stuff about how like it's strange that things have changed, and like now, like he's like, I'm running like a coward and you have me at the other end of a sword, which I think speaks to him knowing that he's in the wrong somehow, and knowing that he's in the wrong side of history, but he can't help being who he is, which isn't an excuse for his actions. It is just a rare moment of self-awareness from him. So that touched that player emotionally, and that was nice, because that's kind of what I was hoping for, even though I plagiarized like half the speech directly from BioShock. I think my version was better. I think more emotional impact, he said self-righteously. So after they hop in the elevator and Frankie has his like, "You're about to fight me, I'm the final boss" speech, which is like kind of emotionally touching. If you listen back, um, they get into the room and they see all 5 legendary artifacts from the Throne of Eldraine magic set. Oh god, I'm struggling to remember their names because I never drafted that set. I don't really play standard. But there was Embercleave, the magic sword that's basically Excalibur, Merlin's magic mirror, essentially. The Holy Grail, which in that canon is actually like an evil artifact. It's like a giant jacuzzi-sized chalice full
That's
of like
awesome.
evil purple liquid that you sacrifice people to gain back your eternal youth. And then there is the circle of white fire on the ground, out of which magical knights spring forth at will. That's supposed to be the round table. And there's the green one. Oh my god, the Great Henge, which is basically this giant portal made out of tree roots attached to a big pillar. It looks like it's been sheared off and transported here magically, and that's supposed to be like Stonehenge in Arthurian myth or whatever. So he has all 5 of these things, and they're all powering him up, and he's speaking into this magic mirror, asking for help in another kind of another display that I lifted from another video game, Half-Life. I feel like I talked about this before, but he's asking for help, like getting away, like get me off world, find me another body, get me out of here. I don't care. And his master, whoever he's communicating with, basically says in Draconic, which only the sorcerer can understand, that he's trying his patience and that he needs to solve his own problems, and he can talk after the battle is finished, and like, don't bother me again. So Frankie like unsheathes big flaming sword Excalibur and jumps down like from his plinth onto the ground, like shaking the ground with his big like muscly weight, brandishes his sword. He's like, "Come and get it, mooks!" And they dive into battle, and there's like a multi-stage thing where they downed him pretty quick, and I wasn't ready to let the battle end because I hadn't shown off all the tricks that I had been designing. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, the one in front of you is dead." Wink. And it's not like I'm just going to keep going until they die or whatever. A battle needs to feel earned. It needs
Epic.
to, and it might not be apparent from the player side of you a lot of the time, like what is required because like as a player, you might think what feels satisfying, and that's hitting the monster for lots of high numbers with big damage with your big sword. But like, there's more to it than that. There's more that goes into it. And it might not be readily apparent, but like there's a kind of an emotional feedback that comes from defeating an epic enemy in an epic way.
Right.
So,
yeah. The closer you are to death, the more rewarding it feels.
Absolutely.
And then again, we talked about this. I don't know if it was last time or time before, but the GM's a player too. So, you want the boss battle to feel rewarding on your end, not necessarily by killing the players, but by showcasing what you've done.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I didn't cheat them out of anything. I had initially planned for there to be more than one Frankie like clone appearing. So they have help in the form of an assassin who was actually sent to kill Frankie this time, a second time, because they stopped him kind of in a roundabout way the first time, like in a very early arc when Frankie was still on their side. And I use the same imagery where Frankie is like silhouetted in moonlight from this big skylight, and like a red laser dot creeps up his lapel and is about to assassinate him. And the cleric at the time saved his life and got some gratitude out of it. And this time, like, Frankie is gloating about being immortal and like all the things that his wealth has bought him, and how people who are wealthy have like the real power in the world. And then suddenly they see, for the second time in their history with him, a red laser dot creep up his lapel, and then like blam, 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 like he gets winged a bunch of times. Then I play like this like Tuxedo Mask style music as the assassin like Errol Flynn leaps like Batman through the skylight and like grinds to a halt in his metal boots and his robot suit, and like he arms his fucking like arm cannons. He's like, "Time to finish the job," as like the assassin who was once a villain is now like on their side, helping defeat Frankie. So that was the cliffhanger that like that half of the battle started on. The one you caught the end of, it starts with the assassin telling them that Frankie can't be defeated normally. He's just going to keep making copies of himself through this magic mirror he has, amplified by some kind of blue artifact, this mask that's keyed into it at the very tippy top of this giant, like 100-foot mirror. So the assassin's like, I'll hold him off. You, Blood Hunter, you use your climbing speed, climb to the top of this like slippery like portal mirror that's like kind of dangerous, get this mask down, and then you're gonna have to run it all the way back across the arena to the jacuzzi, like the evil chalice, Holy Grail at the back, dunk the mask in there to dissolve it, and then Frankie can stop copying himself and you can defeat him for real. So right away it communicates like what the stakes are, what they need to do, and they know that like in between then and now, like in between getting the mask and defeating the mask, like anything goes.
Right.
So it doesn't feel unfair when more copies of Frankie appear and more like shit gets dumped on them, because it's no longer like a straight up and down boss battle where the objective is just to get the enemy's HP to 0. It's not like in those video games where like the HUD pops up and it just says objective survive. I love shit like that because it lets the creator, the storyteller, kind of flex their muscles and be like, look at all this wacky shit I'm throwing at you.
Right.
Like it makes you feel more heroic for surviving it, because it's an inherently unsurvivable situation, but by getting the fucking MacGuffin, the key to it, you can unlock it like a puzzle. And it feels like not only did you defeat a powerful enemy, but you outsmarted them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really compelling. Frankie had all kinds of tricks, and I genuinely feel like I was able to run the gamut of everything that I wanted to do with him, from just like asking for help and pulling in outside help, and like all these powerful artifacts, all this wealth that had bought him, and like messing with time and like quantum duplicates and stuff, all the things that had been like motifs of their involvement with him as a quest giver. Like, because like back in the day, they're like, we found a time portal. What should we do with it? Let's ask the insane mobster banker to take care of it for us. And what does he do? Of course, he starts like betting on horse races with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what else would a mobster do with a fucking time portal except bet on horse races with it?
For sure.
Using his vast wealth, he is a formidable enemy with lots of magic items. They're like, oh boy, can't wait to take these. And near the end of the battle, as it looks like he's pressing his advantage, like we discussed, he asks the dragon and entity on the other side of the mirror for help. And the dragon like is fed up and like loses its patience. And I lifted a line from another movie where the dragon's like, if you are so like not worth my time, maybe I'll just take my toys and go home. And Frankie's like, no, please, I'm nothing without them. And the dragon's like, if you're nothing without them, then you don't deserve them. Which again is a line I stole, but I think I did it better. So take that, Robert Downey Jr. And he like vacuum sucks like all of the giant artifacts of power through the portal, and like it implodes it on itself. And then Frankie's just left with nothing other than like what's the shirt in his back and what's in his hands. Admittedly, what was in his hand at the time was a magic trident that let them like take command of their. They had like a Krasis, a big like fish mutant, like kaiju that was on their side, and it crashed into the room, having defeated the other two evil monsters, the Cadaver Collector in between it and the party. And they're like, yeah, Pineapple's back. And then Frankie uses the trident to fish command and commands their kaiju, and they're like, oh no. So the kaiju mauls the wizard who created it a bunch of times, and he's like barely standing, and they all gang up on him. And the stakes are now, it's like a knockdown, drag out fight where Frankie knows he's outnumbered. He's just trying to take as many of them out with him as he can. And he manages to down like 2 of them. They have a little bit of help from like an allied cleric who's flying around, casting a healing word here and there just to keep people on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends with Frankie like casting like a sunburst spell and downing a couple party members. And then seeing that he's still about to bite it, he like says, I surrender, and I demand to be taken into custody as per guild law. And they're like, well, you broke guild law when you separated from your guild and you took all this stuff. So go fuck yourself. And
you're not in the guild anymore.
It's been revoked. and the druid having like he had been like knocked down and then brought back up and knocked down and brought back up like 3 separate times throughout the end of this battle.
Nice.
And he's just like that Loki meme. He's like, I've been falling for 30 minutes. And he's particularly fed up with Frankie. He's like, I cast Moonbeam at 7th level and fucking Kamehameha like immolate him. And they take Frankie out and they spend a couple minutes looting and they're like, we did it, boys. They get a lot of powerful artifacts, and they're going to have lots of fun role-playing with those, I assume. Nothing too crazy. I feel like we got a good handle on how strong they are. The trick is just making them, I don't know. So here's a question for you before I continue is, at what point is it okay for your players to no longer feel threatened by like certain like threats that should they always live in fear of like the next big thing? Or I don't know, is it okay for them to feel like Superman at some point as they get to higher and higher levels and like pick up more powerful stuff?
Well, I mean, so even Superman's worried about the next big thing, right?
And kryptonite.
So like, I think that your players can forget about the next big thing and feel like Superman. I mean, like, how does Roger feel right now?
Well, Roger, my Tiefling Rogue, is in the room with Acererak, the powerful Lich Lord right now. He's got his party, and he's got most of his spell slots, and his HP is pretty full. And he feels like if they gang up on him, they could probably take Acererak right now, assuming that this is not some illusion and there's not like another 3rd, 4th, 5th fallback for the Lich. So he figures it'll be a hard fight where they'll need to employ counterspell liberally, but he thinks him and his party can survive.
So that's not quite Superman?
Not quite.
But how did you feel at the beginning of the dungeon?
I was nervous. I for sure didn't think we would have enough resources to make it a clean fight once we got to Acererak. Once we found him, I thought I was like, whoa, wow. I thought the dungeon would be like way longer. I thought there'd be like...
No, you skipped like 2 rooms.
Skip 2 rooms.
Pass wall.
Good old pass wall.
I don't think that was on level for the module.
They're like, you have what?
Then. Yeah.
Like, you talk to the ghost of Gary Gygax. He's like, yeah, they cast pass wall on the door, and then they teleport in. He's like, they cast what on the what?
What do you mean? They couldn't have been above 12th level.
Did you try instantly killing them?
The rocks fell, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it's I don't think it's a tough balance. Like, I think that they will be overconfident at times. And you will not put them back in their place, but you'll open their eyes to where they really stand. But they probably are Supermen, right? What level are they? They're like 14 now?
They're level 14.
Yeah. So they're pretty freaking powerful. I mean, Ravnik is a little different. It's very high magic. It's very high power. But still, level 14, there's probably not a lot of level 14s wandering around.
Mm-hmm. True.
And the ones that are out there are probably holed up somewhere commanding armies.
Guild leaders in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are pretty powerful. They're really powerful. And I think that you can showcase that by giving them easier encounters sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because not every encounter should be leveled to them. Right?
That's something I forget sometimes. It's true.
If they go into a dragon's lair, an ancient dragon's lair, then don't put a wormling there for them to fight just because they're level 2, you know?
Yeah.
So, but right. in the same vein, if they're walking down the road and bandits are on the road all the time, then shit, have bandits pop out. You know? And I'm sure the bandits are going to be like, you know, usually we charge people to pass on this road, but you look like the sort of folk that we like. Why don't you just go on ahead? Please don't kill me. So I think that yeah, I mean, because there's going to be places where all the bad guys got is dogs in the front yard,
Yeah, literally.
So they're gonna walk all over those dogs, and that's okay. Put them against 100 skeletons or the equivalent. They'll make fast work of them, and they'll feel amazing.
It's true. Whoop. Yeah, they fought like a goblin horde during the boss rush when Frankie summoned Krenko the Goblin
Right.
Kingpin from the very first arc, and you just had like, I was like, oh, he's got dozens, hundreds of goblins, just like a swarm of goblins, like 500 HP worth of goblins. And the druid's like, I'm gonna moonbeam just like right through that crowd. I'm just gonna like, it's like it carves a swath, like when you're drawing something in MS Paint, you just take the eraser tool and you just draw a line through it.
Yeah, so I think, and it's okay for them to feel like superheroes because, I mean, you're always going to have something to challenge them. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, there's always more stuff to find.
Yeah.
So, getting back on track. So they loot Frankie's castle, and the guest star character and the NPC cleric collect up all the gold, the coinage in the area. There's just platinum laying around in huge piles everywhere. And they're like, well, all right, so a couple things we know. Frankie was in league with some kind of extraplanar dragon, and that's probably going to bite us in the ass later. Mm-hmm. So they make note of that. And they collect up all of Frankie's very powerful artifacts that don't look like they belong to this plane. And they're like, all right, we should investigate that. And then I double check to see who dealt the final blow on Frankie. And it was the druid. And the Golgari, like, undercity, like, rot farm fungus druid. And, like, per Orzhov law, like, a white ghostly chain appears in your hand. And it kind of builds itself link by link over to Frankie's corpse. And you see, like Marley from A Christmas Carol, Frankie Peanuts now bound as a ghost to you, because like that's how it works in the Orzhov. Like you owe debt as part of being an Orzhov to the guild, and when you die, you become a ghost and pay back your debt. Like that is, it's less just like a hard and numeral thing that could ever be paid down, and more like a spiritual obligation to that guild. So Frankie, though he may have defected, still is bound by the superstructures of the guild he was born into. So the Golgari killed him. The Golgari gets to keep him as a ghost pet. He's like, of all the guilds you could have fallen into, you fell in with the Golgari. Oh boy. And Frankie's like, oh, great, working retirement. I bet they're really like, shut up, Frankie. And he shuts up because he's a ghost and he has to do what they tell him. And so they make their way downstairs, going level by level as like all the rooms have been emptied out and cleared up by like the goon squad following behind them. And they get to the bottom level, and it's like the scene in like a heist movie where the cops are just like, they've surrounded the heroes like on all sides. So like then Commissioner Gordon's just, I'm sorry, my boyfriend's calling me. My apologies.
No worries.
Hey baby, what's up?
We're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna run to the bathroom right now.
That's okay. Oh, yum. Yeah, I'll have a chicken sandwich. Oh, cool. Yummy. That's fine. Thanks. That's good. I love you, baby. All right, let's start talking in empty air again. So they're climbing down the tower, having defeated the enemy, the ghost in tow, seeing from the other side how everything's been emptied out and cleaned up by the goon squad. There's a short discussion from the Simic, like biomancer, fantasy Pfizer wizard, who wants to collect like the flesh of these dead aliens they fought in level 3. These aliens that are part of another race of like imperialist overlords that are like if an infectious disease had a religion and could build itself armies out of robots and like turn people into robo zombies. And Frankie employed some of them. So the wizard back on level 3 is like, hey, let me collect some of these dead alien flesh to like experiment on. They're like, we just closed the chapter on that alien invasion. We don't need building more fucking like mutants. And he's like, well, joke's on you. I've already got some, so just let me have some more. And they're like, that's a bad argument. And
I got to see that. Do you say that? Yeah.
And like the fucking NPC cleric who's with them was like, I'm writing that down and I'm going to tell my boss. So they get to the bottom, and as described, Kaya, the leader of the Orzhov, is there like in Commissioner Gordon style, like trenchcoat garb, with Ivan the Getov, the NPC, was helping them along, like at her arm in a sling, looking kind of like with like some bandages on her, cuts on her face, and looks like she survived her encounter with Massacre Girl, the Thrill Kill Assassin, earlier. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Massacre Girl, the Thrill Kill Assassin, was there, another villain from previous arc that Frankie summoned into the building to take care of them. But Massacre Girl betrayed him and was like, yeah, he didn't pay me. He paid like the prison that was like holding me. And if I kill Frankie, he can't pay back the prison and they can't take me back. So win-win. So during the battle, she is taking care of business, and she like murders like a whole swath of NPCs and does a good bit of damage to Frankie. And then, so impressed with Massacre Girl's acumen, the dragon who's aiding Frankie reaches through the portal and grabs Massacre Girl and like pulls her back through, like she's like a doll in a dollhouse. And that's the last they see of her. So I forgot where I was going with this.
Clean up.
Yes, they're on the bottom level, and though Massacre Girl had taken the armor of Ivana and like impersonated her briefly before joining with the party, formally, Ivana did survive, which is, pretty impressive given that very few people survive an encounter with Massacre Girl. Mm-hmm. And they're both there, and they're surrounded by like a small army, like a couple dozen, like dozens of Orzhov guards with a couple of Zorius like rounding out the measure, like around the perimeter just for peacekeeping purposes. And Kai's like, you knew this was coming. Like, give me all the money you found, and then I'll pay you for your services. Mm-hmm. And there was some friction there. We're like, well, we feel like we're owed more than you're giving us. And they're like, and she's like, I'm not here to haggle. Like, mm-hmm. it's the money, or it's going to be a problem. So they fork it over, and some people grumble more than others, but they still make like 20,000. Like, that's like a hefty amount. And it's more than enough to spend on like big downtime activities that I have planned for them, which I expect them to, invest in stuff and like, spend the money.
Right, funsies. Not sit on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be cool. And that feels good to do for them and for me. So they get paid, despite the fact that like to an adventurer, letting go of money for any reason, even if it's to get back like 20,000, feels like cutting off your own arm, I guess.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the way it started.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was XP for gold spent, so you were encouraged to spend gold.
Exactly.
So every adventure, like the reason you went on adventuring was because you just blew all your money on a party. So now you need more money so you can party more. So you can go get more money.
It's true. So the sorcerer talks to Kaya about the dragon that he saw and how that Frankie wasn't like the end of this equation. And he makes his insight check, so he notices that Kaya senses recognition in Kaya when he talks about the dragon, but he can't get her to like cop to who this dragon is or what his involvement is. And so he's now suspicious that Kaya is involved. And from a meta perspective, because as a player of Magic on which the story is based, Magic the Gathering, he knows that Kaya was sent by the dragon to create disruption in the guild and like make ready the plane for the dragon's invasion. And from a character's perspective, he's a good sport, and he's like, all right, I failed the check, then I guess it's a mystery for now. Nice. But he's now rightfully suspicious of Kaya, despite the fact that she seems benevolent, seems like she's helping the people, and just gave them a bunch of money. So, and then we do a little bit of role play for each character as they go home and kind of, get ready for the next day, get ready for downtime. Mm-hmm. And we leap into what I thought was going to be like the next mini arc, because I'm thinking that like it's not going to get a lot of opportunities to do it because they're going on another extra planar adventure soon. But I thought that like in between each arc, they would do downtime and then like not another dungeon or like another world exploration adventure, but like just like a boss fight, just
Mhm.
like as part of downtime. Like, so that lead up came to a head when we talked about how Zithis, the Golgari druid, kind of kidnapped this young Gorgon girl and like coup de grace the heavily injured Celestian druid who was her caretaker, her mother, and dumped her body into a sewer contaminated with evil alien chemicals. And sometimes you don't, and like even without that, you don't even need like magical like get back up juice. Like if so,
Mhm.
like if in fantasy D&D, if you like kill someone and steal their daughter, you just got to be like Revenant, like yeah, they're coming back to kick your ass. And so the Revenant comes back to kick his ass, and there's like a scary moment where um, the the girl, he comes back home to visit her, and she looks sad, and she's like, I think I have to go home soon. Um, and he's like, why? What, you are home? And he's like, she says, my my mom came back, and she shows him like this porcelain mask that this thing has been shedding. Like it periodically, it's like a weird like black, a skeleton made of black ooze that forms these like porcelain plates on the outside of its body, and they just periodically like molt and fall off as it like continues its tortured existence. And so he's been finding these masks kind of strewn about his property, indicating that this thing is like lurking and like spying
Mhm.
on his daughter. And so the daughter like holds up a mask she found, and he's like, this is what I was afraid of. Like he explains to her that when he found, he half tells the truth, which is that when he found the caretaker, he believed she was already infected by the Phyrexian virus, and he killed her and didn't bring her back because he was afraid that this would happen, that she would come back to undeath and come after them.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, I'm willing to buy that, but from the Revenant's perspective, that's not good enough.
Right.
So
Yeah, a
the
revenant
daughter's like,
is driven.
yeah. So and the girl's like, she said you would say that. And then like in a horror movie, like from behind him, he hears the creak of the closet door open as the thing like comes out like of the closet, like the fucking boogeyman, and into the room with them. And that's where we left off. So uh, my thought is the Revenant has help from something, either a sympathetic person in Ravnica, like there's this rebel Selesnian like a zealot called I think his name is Gired, who is like a Selesnian like nature druid, but he's a little bit gruel as well. He's like kind of fierce nature, like raw nature, and kind of overpowering the other guilds, and that's what he believes in. He's an exile
Mhm.
because he's kind of like a heretic when it comes to their peaceful religion.
Right.
So um, this won't come out until after this session, thankfully, so I can talk freely, spoiler free, as long as there's no one in the chat right now. But he, the Revenant, is actually, I think, Sithis, the Golgari Druid's original caretaker, because he showed me this really cool backstory he cooked up where the reason his character is blind is when he was a young Celestian Druid. His caretaker was part of like a cult that was dedicated to bringing back their divine, benevolent nature god, and the way they thought to do that was to spill the lifeblood of an innocent child. So she raises this child, him, the player character in the backstory, and tries to like coup de grace him, but she just fatally, like she just like mortally injures him and like blinds him, and he escapes and falls into a Golgari sewer, and that's where he's raised and like stays for the rest of his life. So I'm gonna have this cool moment where I guess like so after that encounter, the caretaker like started over from scratch, found another child, the Gorgon child,
Mhm.
and is like kind of trying to recreate the ritual, and was interrupted by the Phyrexian invasion and the Phyrexian taking the child because they sensed magical potential in them as well, and
Mhm.
then also being killed kind of accidentally in passing by her original son, the druid, Zithis. So now that she's back with a vengeance, she may not immediately recognize him, but maybe like during the fight, she'll hear one of the other party members go, Zithis, watch out, and she'll go, Zithis, I know that name. and then like she'll look over at him and with her creepy like fucked up face and go, "Naughty boy," and like proc like a wisdom save for fear, kind of like
That's awesome.
when like those kids who go to boarding school and like they have like the paddle with the fucking holes in it for less wind resistance. When like when they hear the sound of that smack, they instinctively like clench up, kind of like that. So it's like it is someone from his past kind of doubling down on the trauma they inflicted on him, trying to inflict it on someone he is now taking care of.
That's
So
awesome. That's an awesome tie-in.
yeah. So logistically, I think what needs to happen is the Revenant has help. So maybe they have Gered just sending a crash of rhinos just come crashing into the room to, hold this awful. She escapes with the child. And then they have to follow her to like the Celestian conclave, where she's trying to reenact the ritual, sacrifice Zola, and bring back like the nature god. Or another thing I considered that actually kind of like, I don't know why I like the imagery of it more. A couple months ago, there was a boss battle where they fought Vraska, the Gorgon assassin, and her cronies, this Gruul warrior who was tied to the backstory of the Blood Hunter, and this Mazarek, this renegade Golgari insect cult leader. And during that fight, the sorcerer rolled on the wild magic table and summoned a Modron. And rather than have it be just like literally a Faerun Modron from the Forgotten Realms, I was like, I think it's going to be a different like extraplanar machine. So I had it be a Myr, M-Y-R. And they're like these little like skeletal little robots with like these kind of parrot-shaped heads. If you want to look them up, they're really cute actually. And during the fight, it gets injured, and like a Modron, it summons more help. And so like a big crowd of Myrs erupt and kind of Voltron combine into one giant like Uber Myr. And it helps them. They convince it to help them during the fight, and then it runs off somewhere. So Myr are from Mirrodin, which is a plane like where metal is part of the ecosystem intrinsically. Like the oceans are made of quicksilver, and the mountains are all like ferrous oxide, and the forests are like circuitry growing out of the ground, combining into these trees where electricity coruscates off the branches naturally. It's like metal world, robot world taken to the extreme. There are still humans and other organic people there, but like metal is part of them intrinsically. And that world was taken over by Phyrexians. And it became New Phyrexia, because one thing Phyrexians love is metal and organic people, so it was a natural fit for them. So they took over like mold on bread, baby. There was just no escape.
Right.
So Myr are from there, and it's possible they could have been corrupted too, and they would like answer to, a Phyrexian or Mirrodin adjacent like commander. So maybe in absorbing this Phyrexian rejuvenation, this druid is now, I think she's going to be less of like a mindless agent for Phyrexia. And I like the idea of her like, how did I put it? Like I rehearsed like a bunch of different monologues in my head so many times, where she's like, I am privy to a world of whispers, but I do not heed them. I have my own like agenda at hand. It is useful to rely on the artifice of this other world, but I have my own that concerns me. So she is still conscious, and like, I guess because she's a revenant, it's like her drive kind of overpowers the fact that she is corrupted by Phyrexia, but she still is able to rely on being composed of Phyrexian oil and can command these robots. So Zithus is in this moment confronted by this undead that he doesn't know yet is his old teacher. And he's about to like beat face, and then like from under the bed and then out of the closet and out of the rafters, all these little Myr like jump out. And after he's like, I'm going to beat your ass, she's like, I thought you'd say that. And then the Myr come out and combine into a big Voltron robot and just like knock him through the wall.
Nice.
And he has to face off against a robot for a few rounds while she makes off with the child. And then he, assembles the Avengers or whatever, and the party runs and chases to the Celestian Conclave. And then I have my boss fight. And I have my reveal, and I have like the denouement, and maybe like, oh yeah, so I wanted to incorporate like another like magic reference to like a metatextual reference to the cards. Um, there's this combo in Magic with two enchantments, Phyrexian Unlife and Solemnity. If you have both of these 3-mana enchantments in play, you basically become unkillable. Phyrexian Unlife gives like lets you go to 0 life points, but gives you like 10 poison counters for each damage you take instead.
Mhm.
So you can go to 0 and stay at 0, and you have 10 extra health for being damaged. But Solemnity says counters can't be put on players, and that includes poison counters. So you can't poison yourself from Phyrexian Unlife, which means no one can kill you the traditional way. So like I'm literally going to have it be part of her monologue where she's like, though this Phyrexian Unlife has corrupted me utterly, like the solemnity of my duty keeps me pure. Like, I see. So
That's awesome.
So I think it's going to be, maybe I'll have like a round or two where he just tries to like mortally, like he like of course the first thing he's going to do is attack the revenant in front of him, and I'm like, okay, like I'll describe her being viscerally killed and then just getting back up and regenerating. Like she's an unkillable enemy, and they need to kill her a special way. And I think, I don't know how I can like make this gel organically. I might have to abandon it, but maybe he gets to the conclave and she's about to sacrifice Zola, and then she recognizes who he is, and he has that come to Jesus moment where he has to confront his old abuser. Mm-hmm. And then what if like the nature god like reawakens somehow and uses its powers of purification to like annihilate the revenant, like finally get like, you know, put it to rest, basically. Hey baby.
Yeah. Slowly and just here.
Thanks, baby. So since he was part of the original ritual, my thought was his lifeblood would still work. So if he chooses to like sacrifice himself to like save Zola and complete the ritual, then the nature god will reawaken and beat like and take out the revenant for them. Is that satisfying? Is that worth implementing?
Like sacrifice himself?
Or just mortally wound himself, I'm thinking.
What's the trade-off here? So what? So he gets Zola back, right?
Yeah.
If he mortally wounds himself. But what happens to him mechanically or in game that makes the mortal wound not just a line on his character sheet?
That's a good point. What am I offering him?
This is so a choice between saving someone and writing something down on your character sheet or watching an NPC die is not really a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what is it? So they're a caster, right?
Yeah, he's a druid.
So it's hard. That's a hard thing. Like you could take away an arm and make it so they can only have use one-handed weapons. They can't cast spells with material components while they're holding a one-handed weapon. That seems, I was going to say it seems like too much, but it depends on how attached they are to this character, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's a point where, you know, you could conceivably have a PC sacrifice herself for another PC or for an NPC.
Yeah.
Like literally sacrifice themselves. Yeah, I think that's what you got to decide. What is the choice that you're offering them?
Yeah.
It's the girl dies or something significant, and it's got to be significant.
Yeah.
I don't know, like you could probably look through curses, look through the DMG. There is that section for artifacts that has negative effects. There is. I know there is mortal wounding in the DMG. I don't know what that looks like. If that's, I think that's just a line on the character sheet. Take a look here.
We did that in Zobek, didn't we? In Midgard.
We did, yeah. And I want to say it was just a line on the character sheet, pretty much. It didn't.
I remember they
affect
gave
much.
you like debuffs, like
Did they?
you crippled a leg, or like you have like a heart murmur, or you're missing an eye or something. And you get -2 perception, or -2 it, like a physical attack, or a -2 con checks or something. If you took a mortal wound.
I want to go back to Zobek so bad.
Me too.
Especially with what's turned up of late.
Yeah.
But because I've been immersed in it.
Yeah, boy.
Let's see here. Creating adventures, adventure environments.
I don't know. I'm kind of addicted to like. It might just be like my personality type, but like I'm kind of addicted to like save the world style adventures.
Yeah.
And I like that the stakes in Zobek are a lot lower, a lot slower.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep waiting for something to like come to connect all the dots, you know?
I mean, there's stuff in the background.
Definitely.
There definitely is. There's probably 3 main threads running through Zobek.
Bet.
Because I'm not putting a world-changing event in front of you doesn't mean that they're not happening in the background.
True.
So
and there's that balance too. Like we talked about how when you started running Sanguera, it kind of the stakes rapidly outpaced the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to just be like adventures that ramped up gradually, and then it became a save the world anime like 2 arcs in. And we were level 5 by that point.
Exactly, yeah.
I ran into the same problem with the campaign that I was running in Dungeon World, where they unleash an evil god, and he's like, you have 30 days to marshal your armies or whatever before I come and raise your city. And I'm like, and they're level 5 by that point. And only in retrospect, I'm like, level 5 and 30 days is way too low and way too soon to be fighting an evil god. Oh, retrospect, my old friend.
Yep. Yeah, I can't find it. I have no idea where this is. I don't know where it might be, though. I can find it in OneNote. Lingering injuries. That's what it's called. All right, let's see what these things look like.
What things?
Lingering injuries, not mortal wounds.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Yeah, 17 to 20 is minor scar. Festering wound. Maximum reduced by 1 hit point every 24 hours. Horrible scar. Disadvantage on persuasion. Broken ribs, internal injury, limp. Lose a foot or leg. Lose an arm or hand. Lose an eye. Yeah, so they do have disadvantages, but I don't know how much access do they have to a regenerate spell?
I think he literally cast it on another NPC like 2 arcs ago. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, any mortal wound you give him, he's going to regenerate.
Yeah. Maybe that's not. That's. I don't know. Maybe it represents character growth for him. Like choosing to sacrifice himself for this, like lets him back spiritually into like this headspace where he can access Celestian, like green and white druid magic as opposed to just green and black Golgari magic. What do you think?
Well, again, then there's no choice, right?
Yeah. He doesn't know that.
Right.
Hmm.
But I mean, you don't give him a choice. You say, you gonna cut your hand off for this lady or not, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
In an ideal world, he decides on it himself, right? Like I just put the pieces in place, and he's like, "Oh wait, I'm back where I started. I have an opportunity to engage in self-sacrifice and save the one I love. Of course, I would do that."
There
And
you
it's
go.
just about the
So
moment.
it's not a choice. It's part of the adventure that can go either way. It totally reminds me of the wishes that we dropped in, right? Where
Yeah.
you guys could have wished for literally anything,
Yeah.
and you chose altruistic wishes.
Literally.
So, like,
Somewhat.
I mean, no, they were altruistic. I
Well, the
mean,
first one.
well, that wasn't. You weren't like you were doing a test thing. You assumed that you were going to fight him.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, so I think just laying it out there and find out what he does,
Yeah.
and then that's up to him too. He goes, oh, maybe some of my blood will work, or maybe if I do this, it'll work, or maybe he'll jump right to, well, I'm going to sacrifice myself for her,
Yeah.
and then you just let him come in as a different player, maybe even playing her,
Yeah.
like have his power infuse into her or something.
That'd be cool.
But yeah,
Potentials are wow. Yeah.
I think leaving it up to him to decide, to figure it out and decide is good. And that'd be
Why
a
don't you
good
just lay
like
out the pieces?
coffee break time. All right, this is what's happening. She's about to be sacrificed. What do you guys do? I'll be right back. I need to go get a drink of water. Something.
Definitely. Yeah. She needs a bit of logistics hammered down.
Mm-hmm.
Have first in order for it to be impactful, I think the first thing that needs to happen is the revenue needs to get away with the kid without it feeling like bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Without it feeling fiat, which is going to be hard.
Yep.
Knocking them prone is probably going to help a lot. As much as you can knock them prone. Waste their actions. Maybe like bolos or something. Right. Tie their feet up. Be able to tie their feet up from range. Rope of entanglement. Irenes are what? CR9?
A chain devil, right?
No, the flying winged one.
Oh yeah.
With the rope. They're CR12. So I mean, that in itself is, you pop two or three CR12s down. See how many attacks they get? They get 3 attacks. Where is the variant? I have to search it separately, don't I? Rope up variant. Yeah, so you can use the rope in place of one of their multi-attacks.
This is on a stronghold too, so all right, here's what I got. Round 1, he attacks and mortally wounds the revenant, and it's clear they can't be killed. They get right back up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he receives word, maybe telepathically, maybe over like a horn or something, that like, my lord, our forces are under attack. And like from the other side of the compound, his rot farm, his stronghold, like Gered, the conclave, Celestian like heretic zealot is attacking his stronghold like just a shit ton of rhinos, and they're like rampaging and like occupying all of his forces. So now it's like a two-prong attack, and then the Revenant like has all of her toys get up, all the little mirror robots combine into the big Voltron robot, and like, hello, dear. Tower over him, knock him prone, and just like beat the crap out of him, like maybe some modded Iron Golem stats or something.
Just like, and is this going to be like a one-on-one part?
Yeah, it's just to showcase that they're taking him by surprise, and it's meant to take away the girl, and then he can get his party. Maybe they can chug a short rest potion, which I introduced as liquid time. You can take a short rest potion in the middle of combat, but it ages you 1d10 years.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Long rest potions age you 10d10 years.
Wow, that's crazy. You can have someone fall over and die.
Yeah, that almost happened to the sorcerer. And I was like, I hadn't considered making him 140 would instantly kill him. And so like the time wizard who was helping him was like, can I spend like a charge in this dangerous like probability artifact I have to like reverse the aging process, like a reroll? And I'm like, you know what, sure. And so it ages him, like roll like a d100 and minus that much. He's like, okay, now I'm -4. And I'm like, I didn't mean to kill you with this stupid potion. Here, you're 18, because I guess that's funny still. I just wanted it to be funny. I didn't want to kill you yet.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but for one-on-one, you can definitely do that, I think. I was concerned about the party being there.
Yeah.
Should be easy to knock them down, occupy them on the other side, and then just narrate. You guys get that shit cleaned up. You call the team together, and you know where she's going.
Yeah.
Right? Because she said, she called him out as her fucking son or whatever.
Yeah.
So he knows where she's going. She's going to sacrifice the Gorgonzola.
Yeah. And then we have a quick bit of combat to induct that session. Then we can do downtime for the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Assuming the boss battle doesn't take up the whole session.
Right. Which it may.
Yeah. I like having just like a single fight be the interlude in between downtime and actual like exploration arc.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I think it'll work out. Here's hoping.
Usually does.
You can't plan for, how a player's going to feel.
Right.
Hopefully he'll be flattered that I'm incorporating his backstory to this degree. Hopefully he won't be like, man, this is bullshit. You're just taking my toys away from me. I don't know. We'll see. Do you want to talk about your campaign?
I do. I want to go to the bathroom, though.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. I love the blue teeth. Thank you for lunch, sweetie.
All right. So they are facing a Sararak tonight. Very exciting stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a battle too. Let's scroll through this and make sure I don't have anything popped up that I don't need to have popped up. Have my what's that link to? Weird. They're my notes up at the top here. They can't see that when they're not can't see that when you're not logged in. We'll have links to all this stuff that I'm popping open in the show notes for the podcast. Let's see here. So the wishes, man, that messed me up. The players got 3 wishes, and I was thinking they're just wishes, right? Players already have access to 3 of those wishes. But I had forgotten they were genie wishes, not the wish spell. Genie wish is unlimited power, right? So they can wish for whatever they want without fear of losing the spell. So they took advantage of that. Let's see here. Yeah, and then they faced a Sararak at the end. And had a chat with him. Ironically enough. So we've got yeah, this is kind of their notes that they got. And we will be going into a question and answer session tonight. I'm limiting them to 10 questions because I don't want it, like, I can conceive of this taking up the whole session, right? I feel like they like to role play, and it's better sometimes than fighting, right? Yeah, so I'm excited to see this. Let's wait till Kristen gets back here and we can discuss this a little more. Oh, exciting live. I need to actually edit my thing here. This is okay. We're in the right world now. I need to go in here. I believe I popped the question in here. Pop the question. It's funny. There's some. Yeah, there you go. Where's place your characters never allowed back? It's a good question. Let's pop that back up. So we start every session with a warm-up question. Oops, that was Premiere, not Photoshop. And I typed that question into the VTT because, of course, why wouldn't I? Got it, season 4 here. 98765 54321. All right, let's close Premiere. Exit. Photoshop. Open recent. Oh. It's not in there. Quick access in my data folder, in assets, in art. Oh, you know what I should do? I should pop a commercial. Do that real quick. Which stream manager? There we go. Be back in a minute. Okay, pues. Okay.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
All right. So what's happening in Sanguera?
Well, right now I am running an ad.
Genius.
Right. Boom. We're back now. Yeah, Sanguera. So I thought this would be over by now. We have spent, this will be our 5th session in the tomb. Sixth session in the tomb.
Oh my God.
So that's like 12 hours. And I mean, technically this part isn't in the tomb.
Yeah, we're in his magnificent mansion.
Yeah. I told you that there was like one part that I changed. This is that part.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you guys kind of fucked me up last session. With wishes. So I'm prepping this thing, right? And I'm looking at it and I go, okay, 3 wishes, big deal. They've got 3 wishes, right? Sombra's got 2, Ark's got 1. They can cast 3 wishes a day. This isn't going to do anything, so I move on. Of course, I'm not thinking they're genie wishes. They are not limited to the same as a PC wish.
Right. Which means, I mean, so technically a PC can wish for anything, but they risk losing wish.
Right. So it incentivizes them not to use it that way.
Exactly.
But the genie's not going to lose wish.
He's a fucking genie.
Right.
Why don't genies rule the universe? Why can't they just like wish for whatever they want?
I don't think they can cast wish for themselves.
It's such a weird restriction.
Yeah.
Cursed by God at the beginning of time to be able to grant wishes, but only in very specific arcane circumstances for other people.
Well, the lore that I use is that genies were there for the creation of like the prime material plane.
Whoa.
They were created as gods. They're created from gods, created by gods as like engineers, like creators of the prime.
Cool.
And as a gift to them, they gave them a giant city of gold and said, here you go. Here's a big city of gold. And then the Ifrits kind of riled everybody up and were like, we built this whole world for, this whole universe for these mortals, which are so far beneath us. What's that about? Screw you, gods. And they were like, well, fuck your city of gold. It's now brass.
It's just like, that's such a petty thing. It's not even like they smote them. It's just like, here's a ham-handed metaphor about like looking a gift horse in the mouth and like something diamond versus paste something.
Right. It's not like they were gonna melt their buildings down, sell them.
No. It's brass now. Fuck you.
It's brass. So that's like where a lot of the enemies.
Power ring gone forever.
So I think that's where the them not being able to cast wishes for themselves comes from, right? Because they were designed to create for mortals
at the instruction of someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys went an interesting direction with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of like solved all your problems almost.
Well, what else do you do with a wish with no conditions on it, apart from try and solve your problems? And we knew going in that like anything we wish for would be a double-edged sword because genie wishes so often are. We're like, well, we have to be specific with our wording. I thought I talked about like there was a video I watched about wishes.
Mm-hmm.
From this guy, this DM, and he's like, I have this special table that I rolled up where like you can roll, it's like a 2-part table. One is where did you get the wish, which is like the modifier, demon, Efreet, fiend, like artifact, chaos, and like how does the wish go wrong? Like, is it worded strangely and like it fucks you that way? It does the opposite in an ironic way to fuck you over? Is it worded perfectly and like 99 is like is perfectly good? It's like, so like say a wish from a fiend said to get you is going to be like an ironic, like Ray Bradbury, like Little Shop of Horrors wish, who's meant to like ironically punish you. Like, it's like, I wish to be invincible. It's like, you'll like, okay, I transport you to the end of time. You'll never be hurt again. Whatever. Like, or I turn you to stone. No one can harm you. Shit like that. And I thought it was like an interesting way to do it, because you could roll and see like how badly you're going to get fucked over today. And it was great because it wasn't just like making every wish random. It was based on like the context of the wish.
Right.
So like,
I kind of like that. It's a pretty good idea. It's a really good DM out.
mm-hmm.
Like, because you guys are going to blame the Ifrit for the wishes gone wrong.
Yeah.
And I control the Ifrit. So the way I was looking at it, though, is the Ifrit's lawful, right?
Okay.
And he's literally...
I didn't know that specifically, but...
Yeah, they're lawful evil. He is genuinely happy that you let him out. So he's not going to dick move your wish.
Gotcha.
But what he is in a hurry and lazy.
There you go.
So he is going to do the easiest possible way to fulfill your wishes.
Create peace on Earth. Okay, I've killed everyone on Earth. Now there's peace. That's the caveat. Because like as a character, I didn't know he was lawful specifically. And as a person, like a player, I don't know enough about extraplanar cosmology to remember that Efreets or Tao or lawful versus chaotic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just naturally assume he's going to fuck us over. Maybe not through maliciousness, but maybe through ignorance.
Yeah.
We're like,
True that too.
We're like, can you make it so Dogecoin is actually profitable? He's like, what's that?
Right, exactly.
I don't know what that is.
He goes, here's your Dogecoin. I gave it to you for free and you can sell it now for profit. And this is the wonderful thing about recording the game, is I can go back and listen to it. So when you guys were discussing your wishes and adoption, and I wasn't here, I got to come back and listen to it.
Oh, God.
And I mean, I usually don't go out of my way to do it, but I was checking the stream and I wanted to write down the wishes as worded. So I was pulling them up, and then I just happened into that area right when I was skipping around looking for them. And I was like, oh, what did they talk about? I'm like, oh, Roger's going to adopt everybody.
It's great because as a character, I really wanted to create like kind of a dad energy for him, because he's a father of children. He's a family man. So like, I've always thought of him as team dad. I don't always like live up to that expectation for myself in terms of role play, but like, I like to think of him as like a protective kind of character, like that kind of influence. Mm-hmm. And so suddenly all the other characters are like, you wished for your family to be rich for all of time. So naturally you have to adopt us.
Right.
Like, well, I mean, I kind of already did, traveling with you and saving your asses. So sure, logical extension of it. Come here, son. Let's play catch.
That's awesome. I don't think we've been spending enough time together, Lawson. Miles,
Mark, it's time to give you the talk.
Miles, I believe you're talking to your sword. Or at least I believe that you believe it.
I believe I keep hearing that shit in like fucking random places. Oh, God.
Yeah, so
funny and good.
I've got it set up. Did you read the World Anvil?
I did.
Nice. Did you follow the links?
The links?
Oh, yeah.
No.
There's so many links. So, I guess I didn't say this in Discord. I meant to. Under created content.
Yes.
That's kind of the stuff, right? That's obviously the stuff I created for this session report.
The last of the tomb. Here we are. I double clicked it. No, not 2 tabs. All right. Synopsis. Let's see here. The false tomb, smoking urn contained an Efreet. It's a link. Loston is a link.
No, go scroll all the way down to the bottom.
All the way down.
Yeah, it's like the second to last section.
Created content. Hamatula, Kornyagon, Army of Phlegathos, Sangora, updated Gazra, and Asher.
So Asher's got his whole story there. If you click on Asher.
Hamatula's Barb Devils. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time when I do this, the information is just that. It's just I added a monster in. But sometimes it's, you know, little stories and stuff that you don't get in the game. I'm trying to encourage you guys to read it.
Devils. Okay. Army of Phlegathos. This front of the United Combatant Command of Hell. 3 armies. Each army divided into 7 corps. Each corps contains several divisions or legions, split into 3 brigades. Brigade of the Army of Phlegathos. 8 battalions, approximately 7 companies of Hamatula's. My God. Company consists of 333 troops. The troops are divided into 33 platoons, headed by a lieutenant. And each lieutenant is split into 3 sub-lieutenants in a trench coat. And each trench coat is made of 7 discrete fabrics.
Right. So this I created because I want to give you guys an idea of what you're going to face.
That's a lot.
When you face him. Yes. Yeah, it is.
That's an unfaceable amount. That's an amount I'm not going to want to face. That's an amount where you're like, let's avoid facing that. That's the goal.
Right. And if you scroll down to under notes, it says these are my secrets and clues. Right? 10 secrets and clues. Yes. So one of them is fighting Gazra will take more than might, intelligence, or luck alone. Okay. So remember I was telling you I want to have a year of downtime after this. Mm-hmm. And basically that's going to be your prep for fighting Gazra.
My God.
Because it is a huge undertaking.
Yep. I'm not even sure where I would begin.
Right.
Year of downtime to me sounds like a year to like say goodbye to your family before like going off on a suicide mission.
Well, the 6 of you can't do it alone.
So we need to collect like a shit ton of allies.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like as a DM, that is like a great tool because all you have to do is here's an example. All I have to do as a DM is say, okay, you managed to collect these 30 list of NPC names that I've got here. And you will see them and I will describe them on the battlefront as they give you the opportunity to get to the heart of the thing. And they're like, go, go, go. We'll hold them off here. And then they all die. And then you fight the boss because you got to him.
What's better is I'm going to make you guys come up with those people.
Oh, no.
These are going to be people from your past, people from your present, people you know.
Like the NPCs from all of our backstory questions.
Yep.
Now I have to go back and read them. You were supposed to do that.
I don't have all of them. I don't remember when I started writing them down. I know you and I started writing them down at the same time, or around the same time.
Well, hopefully. I don't think I'm missing out on too many NPCs. I don't think I introduced any NPCs and like before we started writing them down.
Right. Not too many.
We should have all those. I know I will anyway. Ooh. I could think of 2 or 3 right off the bat.
Yeah, I've got season 2, episode 5.
Yeah, same.
And then let's see here. I doubt that those are written down in here. So I will have to go back and add those all in. I don't even have season 2, episode 5. Huh. Yep. I don't have a lot of season 2 in here. Episode 15. And that's got, yeah, okay. So I got some I can add, for sure.
I can think of 3 right off the bat that I could use. 4, technically. We're going to go into the 9 Hells to get Gazra. So maybe Roger convinces his daughter to like move her battalion of companies, of platoons, or whatever the fuck there. And then he calls upon...
Oh, that was intentional.
Yeah.
She is not a commander by coincidence.
Fuck. Of course. Oh, you fucking got me. And I just like, and I'm just like, I want to take this NPC out of danger and put her on a plate over here and just like have her be safe and just like be a line on my character sheet again, please. And it's like I wished. I was like, Rich, I wish NPCs in our backstory mattered more, and then the fucking finger on the monkey's paw curled close. The price of NPCs mattering is I get to put them in danger.
Right. Yeah.
Literally. So she can be there, and the bronze dragon from her childhood that swore to protect her with a druidic vow can show up and like be her like never-ending story like dragon that she can ride, and she's like, this is awesome. And then the Gith Yankee that I rescued can show up on a big like floating pirate ship, and the fucking ice elf who's actually based on another one of my characters can show up with like a fucking, I don't know what, Draugr or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and I'd like to so you remember when we did the witch battle, the beginning of the witch battle, how we had the armies off to the side?
Yeah.
So I would like to do something like that again. I'm not sure how much it interests you all though. So we'll talk about that.
It's always tough to figure out a secondary system.
Matt Colville's is pretty easy, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but players and DMs have like a different mindset when approaching them, because as a DM, you have time to sit with it and go, this is cool. This is cool for this reason. Like, I like how this does this. And you can like spend time looking at it. Mm-hmm. As a player, you're sitting there like, I'm ready to roll an attack roll on my character sheet.
Right.
And they're like, all right, learn this thing in 5 minutes. And you're like,
system.
You can do it. It's doable. But you're like, but my attack rolls.
And that's why I introduced it before. Mm-hmm. So to get you guys kind of used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked it. I just wish it had more of an impact on like the battle we were having, like in combat.
Right.
It's easier to say like it's happening off the side. It's not going to impact you. You don't have to worry about civilians in your AoE spell. But I would like it if like during the battle, the army we summon could be like, give us a bonus to one of our attacks or something, mm-hmm. you know, to make it feel like they're actually there.
Right.
You know, or go the other way and just we have like a great like Hall of Fame where they're like, this person shows up and this person shows up and this person shows up and they're like, go, we'll hold them off, and then they all die, and then
Adventures Endgame. That Thanos wins.
Yeah. Think about it.
I don't know. That could be an interesting mechanic too. I roll, however long it lasts, I keep rolling to see who dies.
Fuck.
A massive table of NPCs.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this is kind of why I wanted you guys to read it first before you go into questions, because if you know, I like I said, I don't care if you waste your questions, mm-hmm. but it'd be in your interest not to, right? Because if you click through to Asher and you ask why he flooded the world, yeah, or how that keeps the demons at bay, or something like that that's already written, then less of a boon to you later when you go back looking for information.
How does that keep the demons at bay? Are demons water soluble?
Oh, so if you click on Asher Hall Blossom, it says
in fact, like demons, they're made of sodium.
He hired some adventurers to find Bogentle's spellbook, which contained a ritual to consecrate large amounts of water in a given area.
So yes, demons are now water soluble.
That was a struggle. That was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Like, I don't know, in the middle, like 8 months after I flooded the world, mm-hmm. I was like, wait a minute. Water's not going to keep demons out. It's not even going to keep devils out.
Literally. Like, I'm like, in my head, I was like, there aren't aquatic demons?
Yeah, exactly. There totally are.
Literally. It's consecrated.
Yes.
It's all good.
Yeah. It took a long time to figure out, but I got it.
I should have just been like, why didn't you just consecrate the rain, dickhead? So, yeah, I don't know. I really want to hate him. I do, but like, it almost sucks that like there's no villains in this that like I can really just like be like, "Fuck you, man! We're killing you, and it's a good thing." Like unequivocally.
It's hard because like I like games like that. It's a lot of fun when you just go and oh, those are orcs, so they die.
Yeah.
You know, those are goblins, so they die.
Yeah.
But I feel it's much more interesting to have the villain have their reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just whoa.
Well, the Rakshasa's kind of like that. Yeah. Oh no, he's a good guy too, isn't he? No, you bastard! You fucking.
I don't think so.
He's like, I was only trying to get the hand and I have Vecna to feed my children.
No,
you see, when I was a young Rakshasa in the bowels of hell.
Can't wait to bring that guy back.
Oh god, yeah, he's pretty villainous. I like him.
Yeah,
there's a balance.
He's got his own agenda. Well, I mean, extraplanar creatures are going to be evil for evil's sake, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Most demons and devils, Yugoloths, they're going to have their own agenda. And if they're doing you a favor, it's because it pushes their agenda forward.
That's true.
So, but
I mean, they're not going to be evil for evil's sake. Like I liked again how in your cosmology, demons and devils weren't just like evil personified. They were just strange extraplanar creatures with their own agendas, like you said, in their own cosmology, and how like some are imperialist, obviously, and many belong to a monolithic army that is encroaching across the planes and is locked in intergalactic war for, billions of years. Forever. But like on an individual level, it's totally possible to meet a demon, like a literal demon, who is just like the soldiers from the movie Platoon, who's just like wants nothing more than to just exist in its natural habitat and not be forced into conflict. I like that a lot more than here's a personification of evil. Here's several billion of them. They're all like this monolithically.
Right.
It makes a lot more sense to have like,
and
are they conscious? Are they sapient? Then of course there's going to be like conscientious objectors, even in like demon hordes. That's really cool.
There's even inside of lawful evil, there's shades of gray. I saw on Reddit the other day someone put up like an expanded alignment chart. So they did the 9 right in boxes, and then on every connecting line of the box, they put a different ideal. It was pretty cool.
That was cool. You should send that. You should post that. I want to read it. I like that.
Let's see if I can find it.
That's why I like Ravnica, because the world is composed exclusively almost of these 10 guilds that rule the entire world, which is also a city. So there can be villains in any and every guild. Even the hippie nature sunlight druid guild, the Celestia, can have villains who are like, like zealots or whatever. And the Gruul can have villains who are like, barbarous warlords. The Orzhov can have like ghostly, like, mobsters. And the Daimir can have shadowy spies. Right. And the Simic can have mad scientists like kaiju makers. And the Rakdos can have demon worshipping like clown cults. But there can also be good people in each guild. This could like, it's just an inescapable facet of like the way the world is built, that good or evil, you have to share space with your guildmates. So the Rakdos can have insane murder clowns, but that murder clown like also has like a job and a pension, and like it's just, like these people consented to be murdered in our murder cult. Like that's entertainment. I'm catering a bar mitzvah next week. That's just how Ravnica works.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot more nuanced, and it makes you think before you stabby.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've kind of conditioned you guys to try and talk first anyway.
That's very true.
And Zobak pounded that home really,
Yeah.
Because
kept
there was no
encountering, like,
reason. No reason to
ghouls
kill
and
anything.
vampires, and like every time we talk to it.
Yep.
Like, you encounter a horde of mindless dog-like ghouls wearing human skin stretched over like corpse flesh, and you're like, can we talk to them? And at that point, it was like, you're like, no, roll initiative.
I have felt like that a couple times.
Yeah,
No, this is combat. Roll initiative. You're fighting this shit.
literally. I guess, I don't know. So, knowing that it's nuanced and having known that it is nuanced for quite some time, like in and out of your campaign, it would be nice to have a Serac be like merciless and remorseless and to just strike him down. But also, since we're going to talk to him, I just want him to feel bad about what he did. And I don't know, it'd be nice to have a villain admit they were wrong and that my character was right. You know, from Roger's perspective, Asher was his king, and kings have like a duty to protect their subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And Asher did so very sloppily, I think,
sure.
because Roger's an adventurer and he's accomplished more in the last 6 months than he has in his entire life. And he feels like Asher, also being an adventurer and having the resources of a kingdom at his disposal, the riches and the connections and the magic, probably could have found another way that didn't involve killing millions of people.
He was already a lich, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's Roger feels like his perspective is warped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's too big picture. He's like, well, as long if these million people will die, but it's fine as long as billions don't die. But
right.
Millions have to, because this is what I've decided. He can't see the forest for the trees anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been a lich for about 600 years.
Wow. And he's already crossed the line. He already, we all watched that presentation where in order to become a lich, you have to sacrifice an innocent life, probably a child. So Asher already did something indelibly evil.
Hi.
So
yeah, so like he's
making that
line.
leap. Yeah, once you've crossed it, like, why even bother? Why even bother being merciful or kind ever again?
Well, it's not just that, but like he saw that as a means to the end, to an end, right? Any lich does. That's where they're going. That's their means to their end. So it, in similar situations, if that comes up, well, it's just a means to an end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to kill a bunch of people, but I'm saving a bunch more. So,
Yeah.
At least this responsibility fell on my shoulders and not somebody else's, right? Where I can make that decision. Whereas you, Roger, could not.
Yeah. Fucking wizards, man.
Yeah, I like the little history I wrote up for him. It's really cool.
Me too. Yeah.
Did you read it?
I'm looking at it right now, actually. AKA the Elf King. So, Serac is an established Forgotten Realms character, predating this campaign.
Greyhawk.
Now in Forgotten Realms because they can't let anything go. My question is, this backstory you've got for him, does that at all relate to his established canon, or was that like something new you slotted into his character?
Yep, nothing at all. He is, he's but a label. Serac is but a label. Everything else is original. Well, I guess, he's a lich.
Yeah.
I copied his stat block.
He fled the Caspian Valley. He only flooded one valley, so maybe I'm also blowing this out of proportion. Maybe he didn't kill millions of people.
Only his kingdom.
Only his kingdom. That's one valley. How many people can live in one valley?
I haven't figured that out.
Because when it first happened, when like we were neck deep in that part of the campaign back when we were still meeting in person, we got to the top of that mountain on the big model. We fought them down, and like we failed, and the ritual went off, and it flooded from our perspective the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my god. In character, I was like, not knowing anything else. In character, I was like, oh my god, he flooded the world. Like he created global warming on a massive scale instantaneously. And in my mind, I'm picturing like that one disaster movie, The Day After Tomorrow, where just like whole nations like Africa and like parts of Europe and Asia and like 2/3 of Asia just disappear overnight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was envisioning. And I was like, oh my god, the weight of that really bore down on Roger. Now it's like he flooded one valley, and I'm like, okay, well, that's still bad, but it's not the world.
So
As a
look
player,
at in Discord, I pasted a map. I'm pasting another one too.
Oh boy.
So if you look at that first map,
yeah,
that is the valley that he flooded. Pretty much that little peninsula. So it's got like 3 cities in it, which aren't on there because I never finished this. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 large towns. So I don't know how many people that is. Hundreds of thousands, maybe.
Hundreds of thousands. But it's not the world.
Right. And so the second picture, if you look at, that is the North Hemisphere, basically. Not even the whole Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And you can see where that castle is on the right side.
Yeah, I do.
That is the valley right there.
That's like 6 hexes.
Yep. Only 6 hexes of people.
As a player, I almost wish he had killed the world. Because that would feel more epic, wouldn't it? Like, and it was a huge. So for me back then, it was hugely emotionally impactful to be an adventurer on the cusp of beating the BBEG, and then to have defeat snatched from the jaws of victory, basically, to fail, and then to be humbled by this Greek mythology level of tragedy, and then to escape off world like we're fucking Superman flying away from Krypton, and to go and to be in Sigil, and to just like the equivalent of like watching your country just like your like imagine you live in the US and then you get on a plane as it's being destroyed, and you're like in an airport in Saigon, and you're just watching the US just disappear into the waves. Like that's what it felt like going to Sigil from Sanguera and thinking, my God, my whole world is gone.
Yeah.
It felt like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's like a hugely humbling, like emotionally powerful experience.
And I mean, if you think about it though, to Roger, his whole world was gone, right? Because
everyone he'd known for sure.
He's lived this whole life in this bubble and never being able to go past it. So this literally is his whole world, right?
Yeah.
You have found since then that there are places beyond that exist.
True.
But it was all conjecture before.
Indeed. Huh. That's true. It's no use to wonder what might have been. Whatever.
I'm excited for tonight.
Me too, buddy.
Go down.
I'm a little nervous because I feel like I'm the only one who's like paying attention and going like talking about the questions at all. That's why I said like let's each come up with 2 so that way people can like weigh in. But nobody's weighing in.
It's so hard to get everybody on page in between games. Hey, let me run to the bathroom and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
settlingly obnoxious, and was also really confident and befriended other unpopular kids who were much less confident, creating a sort of submissive club she could easily be the ringleader of, which made you uncomfortable for reasons you couldn't articulate yet, along with Senator Joe Manchin, came out against dissolving the filibuster, which Democrats would need to pass things like gun control and DC statehood. While Manchin wants to reform the filibuster, Sinema stated that she would not change the Jim Crow era relic at all because it would deepen the partisan divide, which is something that only Democrats worry about and would be true if we didn't pretty much hit the ocean floor with that in January. Sinema's position, coming months after doing half a TikTok dance to vote down the living wage, shows that being young does not equate to being progressive and that no one who wore Converse to prom should be trusted in public office. Despite criticisms, through these events, Sinema has done groundbreaking work for the LGBTQ community by proving that queer people can not only be politicians, but that they can be shitty politicians, and that's true equality.
Right.
That was a great
All right.
last line. All right, so I feel this is this is what defines a player versus a GM. Okay, so a player comes to the table and they engage in the table, and then they leave and they forget about it for a week until they come back to the table.
Yep.
Whereas a GM, and this includes you because you're a GM, even though you're a player in my game, you're still a GM.
Mm-hmm.
A GM thinks about this stuff outside the table, right?
Yeah.
And I feel as a GM, ever since I watched Matt Colville, started watching his stuff, he preached, as a GM, I need to bring more GMs into the fold, otherwise our hobby dies.
Yeah.
So I've always thought about that. And when I see somebody who has that potential, right, who goes, oh yeah, that that's a good idea, right?
True.
I was thinking about this,
like that, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I was thinking about this last week, after the game, and
I have both. I have like a couple of my group, like I have Jevin and Will, who both like come to me outside a game and go like, what were the stats in this magic item? Can you like build it? And like, what was like, oh, this is really interesting. Oh, let's work on my backstory real quick. Let's like do a one-on-one role play. Ray does that too.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other players who just like show up every week because it's fun. And I'm like, that's fine too.
No, I mean, it's good because if we didn't have those people, we wouldn't be playing either, right?
Literally. I think maybe you've made a huge, I think I never thought about. That's a good point. I need to reach out to those players that I have and be like, you should start running your own games more.
Yeah.
Jevin, in particular, I think is like on the cusp of like running a really great game because he cares about that kind of stuff and is willing to think about it outside of the table.
Right. And that's what you need to do as a GM. Like, I'm always thinking about my games. Always thinking about
Jevin, if you're watching this episode, get off your ass. Let me play in your Viking game you're talking about. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And it's fucking easy, especially if you got another GM at the table.
Yeah.
You got a GM at the table, that GM will foster your game. They will help push your game forward.
Literally.
Yeah.
Just going to give him the Return of the Lazy GM manual you gave me. Be like, go nuts. All you need is that book and like 10 tables to roll on, and you got yourself the skeleton of a campaign that can blossom into something so beautiful.
Yep.
All you need really is people to show up every week.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that's the easy part.
Mm-hmm. It's true, and you should say it.
Yeah. There are people out there who just want to play, and they feel they don't have DMs.
Yeah. Be the DM you want to see in the world.
There you go. Gandhi.
Oh, not Gandhi. He's racist. Let's not do Gandhi anymore. Let's do...
Well, that was a Gandhi quote, wasn't it?
It was? Oh, man.
Yeah, be the person you want to see in the world.
Be the change you want to see in the world, unless you are a color that I do not like.
Right, yeah.
Gandhi, 1920. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Abraham Lincoln, 1920.
That's awesome. Going to be my new email footer.
That was if I have it as a desktop background. That's good shit. Thanks, Abe. Do you want to do a question? I know we have like a list of like questions for GMs that we can draw off of.
The hell are those?
I'm gonna leave.
Renee?
Right now?
It's 2:00. Yeah.
Actually, Rich, I need to go with my boyfriend to a doctor's appointment. It's
Yeah,
a good
no
place
problem.
to cut it.
It's fine. You can record.
We're all done.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're running out of things to talk about.
Okay.
I think this is a great session. I can't wait to hear it hammered down, and the other episodes we recorded too.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
I need
Awesome.
to be there for you, babe. All right. Cheers.
I'll see you
friends.
tonight.